Puppets, and Grenada Paper Products, manufacturers of Royal, Horizon, and Quick and Easy paper towels and napkins.
Raise it high up the ladder, let we set it on fire. A little more calypso, forget the funk and the disco. A little more limbo, a little more shango. Kindly greasy pole, and we don't dance round the maple. Raise it high up the ladder, let we set it on fire.
Let's mingle and jingle.
You mean jingle and mingle, right?
Does it really matter? Mingle and Jingle, the mid-morning program that will drive the Christmas season. Weekdays from 10 a.m. to 12 noon on Classic Radio, GBN Television, and all GBN social media platforms.
It's where the deals of the season are, where the Christmas music is played, holiday traditions are relived, and where all the fun is.
Mingle and Jingle.
Or Jingle and Mingle. Mid-mornings from November 14th to December 23rd only on the GBN network.
Made possible by
Flow,
West Hall Rums,
Hard On Plus,
Duty Free Caribbean Holdings,
Ace Hardware,
Gittins Healthcare, and
Grenville Credit Union.
Raise it high up the ladder, let we set it on fire. A little more calypso, forget the funk and the disco. A little more limbo, a little more shango. Your name.
Okay, good evening everyone, and welcome to We Culture for another Friday evening. I'm getting a feedback. I'm not sure where I'm getting it from. Okay, I think I have it under control now. Yes indeed. So welcome everyone, welcome to We Culture. It's Friday evening, and this evening another very, very interesting discussion we intend to have. Of course, we must welcome all our viewers on GBN Television 7 and 11, our listeners on K105 FM, of course, our viewers on our Facebook page and YouTube channel, and of course, wherever else you're listening from. If you're probably passing and you listen to somebody radio, we welcome you as well. Yeah, or you're peeping somebody window to watch to TIFA TV. We welcome you as well. All right. So, folks, Doc is with me this evening. We know Scholar has been experiencing some internet issues, and Reece should be joining us pretty soon. So we're looking forward to having them coming on in just a moment. So, Doc, good evening and welcome.
Well, once again, I'm here. So good evening to all the listeners. You know, I really missed last week, so I want to apologize, but I had no choice in the matter. So hopefully I'm going to make up for this week, because two of my colleagues unfortunately are missing, and I think it would have been a good time, particularly a conversation like what we're planning to have tonight, Godfrey. I think it would have been really, really fun for everyone to be here from the beginning, from the word go.
Yes,
but before we really go into the program, Godfrey, there is a new we used to have greetings, and I'm not greetings, sending flowers.
Well, before you go, let me tell you, let me start, because I don't think we did last week, and I think we probably lost our manners and courtesy. Maybe some of us didn't grow up with your grandmother. But let me congratulate you on receiving the award. I mean, I don't have a lot of details on it, but I have a feeling it has to do with culture. I know, as Scholar said once, you passed the stage of being a cultural icon. You're a cultural J-con. You're gone a notch higher. So, I congratulate you on what the award, and of course we look forward to you continuing the work in the field of culture. Well, Skulls has joined us, so we bring him in one time. So yes, you can go ahead with the flowers now.
Well, no, I just want to say thank you. Mm-hmm. It's an award that was presented to me from Dance Grenada. Mm-hmm. It's a new initiative by a Grenadian base, but living in New York, and name is Shola. And she has working with people like Cecilia Griffith, who is right now one of our foremost dance on Island.
Mm-hmm.
With conception dancers, and they are actually doing a wonderful job, I must say. I went to one of the show, the teaching session.
Okay, we now, folks. Let me say this: we've been experiencing, quite a bit of internet problems in a number of areas. I know today in St. Andrew, many people complained. So, we really hope that our internet provider can, do something about it and get things going. Doc, we lost you for a moment, so you could...
Yeah, for a moment, I just saw you frozen on the screen. I was wondering what was happening. Good night, my brother.
Selassie, Ja.
Yes, I just saying. So I just want to say thank you. Yes, I received that award for my the work I have done thus far in culture, recognized by this grouping. So again, publicly, I would like to say thanks to them for recognizing that work. But I said last time we had this. So, Scholar, you want to say, you want to bring in Scholar first?
Yes, yeah. Well, Scholar has joined us, so we welcome him. His latest initiative is, I think he tried to revive Rasta. Or Ja?
No. He's not fit. He's not qualified.
Yeah, qualified to revive Ja.
No.
But Doc, the man are go ahead of you, because at least you have something on top there. You ain't nothing.
You have it in the wrong place.
well, good night to you guys and fellas.
Right.
Good night to all of our viewers or listeners. We're back once again. I don't even know what we're discussing tonight, but
we talking.
We just talking.
We go talk about it.
I want to congratulate Brother Doc for the award that he received. I mean, it's a strange place to go and receive an award in English. But I mean, I don't understand how man.
Why did
I know our award is in the trades. Please.
Spice basket that happens. So yeah.
Award in Willis, and I am. On that street light.
Yeah, he was on that street light last week.
But as it may, it's good that people could recognize stalwarts.
Indeed.
Culture, and I think Doc has led the way in terms of drumming and this kind of traditional dances for years. Tivoli Drummers has been a household name. Go all about Guyana, Trinidad, Tobago, and mash up the place. I actually traveled with them once to Ghana. So I know the range of experiences that Tivoli drummers would have had. And of course, my daughter was actually a member of Tivoli drummers. Well, she still is, I suppose. I don't know what to say. The last time Tivoli drummers did anything, she was a member of Tivoli drummers, and so I am a kind of Tivoli drummers parent. You know, I can't do nothing but to support and so on. So, Doc, I want to congratulate you on behalf of We Culture for the award and hope that many more people would recognize, you know, those kind of stolen contributions. I don't tell Godfrey that when media had the award this year, I put it down with the name, you know. We get something.
We had to get something.
We are dressed in fancy suit and go and and give we
a toast.
Thanks.
A toast.
We are giving acceptance speech.
Oh, you mean? I agree with you. I agree. I think we deserve it.
I think so.
Definitely so.
Yeah. So yes, Godfrey, let me chime in now. I think what I wanted to do is just a small insert every now and then. Philandy did this song and he said, make that make sense. Mm-hmm. And I thought that is what I want to use. So there are a few things that have been troubling me, and I hear it a lot in society. And I think every night, just a small clip, maybe 30 seconds, I would like to address those issues. Tonight's one would be, you get a ticket, a police ticket in Guelph or in St. George, and you cannot pay in any other parish. Faulty tires, you don't have whatsoever you're supposed to have, a light brake, they decide to give you a ticket in any way, and you cannot pay your ticket in St. Andrew or in a different parish. And I think in this modern era, 2022, we have had eras where we're pursuing ICT, and we have had persons representing us at the highest level in information technology. Banks and banks and courts, if you do a transaction in any of the big companies or the banks, it is recorded in the next branch, yet we still have to go physically in that very parish with that physical ticket to pay. And to me, I don't understand, Philandy, can it make that make sense in this era? So just that I wanted to say, just those snippets where I think we have to take some level of guidance as to better and to prevent people from wasting unnecessary time to do those simple transactions and do that.
Well, if I just take your point a little bit, we are the right man there. Got the ICT man there. Got the ICT man sitting around there. That is a big kahuna when it comes to ICT, you know. So make that make sense. Make that make sense.
I was just going to tell Doc that is the old wine that you drinking from me. I mean, the new wine coming. I mean, you're not
right. So I'm still highlighting it.
You don't worry about that.
Right.
I guess that is why they say what do you call it? Transformational
agenda.
So hold on. Let me ask you something here. When you tell Doc, don't worry about that. What I mean, Doc don't have to go and pay the ticket, just don't pay the ticket, or what? That's what you mean? Or to make sure I understand you.
well, yes. So let me see how Doc go do. Doc no go.
I want to make sure. I want to make sure I understand you clearly, because I mean, I know next thing I have to go and bring.
You want to know I receive proper advice?
Next thing I have to go and bring a alpaca cricks for Doxy. All this kind of thing, you know. Anyway, guys. Clearly, just from that little opening, I realize all you grew up with all your grandmother, because all you have a little sense. All you have a little sense. And the thing about it, growing up with grandparents, they have influenced us, our lives in so many ways, and I think probably in the past, probably more than now, a lot of the grandparents thing have rubbed off. Maybe we have a lot more of it than this new generation. So just in sort of introducing the whole idea for tonight, the role that our grandparents and mainly more so our grandmothers, because they've been very, very, very influential in our upbringing. So Doc, coming back by you. Then we talk about Tan Popo, and then we go talk about Tini.
Yes. Our grandmothers in particular always seem, they to me are the stallions, they are the bastions. When you think about your grandmother, she always seemed to be there. She is that stabilizing force in the family. I mean, everybody else go everywhere else, but on a rare occasion. So I'm going back in time. I'm just thinking about my grandmother. Rarely you go somewhere and you come home and your grandmother is not there. And your grandmother is that stabilizing force. Your grandmother is responsible for passing on, telling you who are your families, who are your cousins, who are your aunties. They are the ones that are responsible for, in a sense, telling you about values, old-time stories, mythology. So they are the progenitors of the culture. They are the ones that pass it on. They are the ones you usually fashion your story, your life stories from. Your mom, you love, your mom is there, but at some time you seem to have more time with your grandmother, particularly or grandmothers at that early stage. So Godfrey, they are that stalwart. Now later on, I guess as we talk, there are some persons that will realize that some grandmothers could be, negatively influencing the children. Some of them I would believe most positively. Some of them have some mischief they always play, So I guess we would explore that a little bit more. But I just believe we're starting looking at how stabilizing they are. Physically, they're always there, but you go back in our time, and it's a good thing you make a distinction between modern day. Well, I guess there are still some that are still stabilizing, but the old time, the grandmothers used to be that force that helped consolidate and ground us in values and family life, and who is your cousin, who is your uncle, etc., etc. So I think that's I want to start, and then I guess Carla would take off or continue from there.
Well, of course, Chantimel grandmother, they go be different from grandmother in Tivoli and all about them. Chantimel and go half grandmother go be different. It's a different kind of grandmother.
Where you go, woman?
I see it.
She said she was at work late, so hopefully she will reach.
Well, Godfrey, let me start by making an admission. I never knew no grandmother.
Right.
And that's the honest truth. So while you and Doc have a framework from which to speak from, I have none. Because grandmother by my father, I was very young. I would presume when she passed, because I can't remember. I knew they said that she was there, and I hear stories about her when I was already born, but she must have died when I was so small and so young that I can't remember nothing. And by my mother's side, I think my grandmother must have died before born. So I never had this grandma experience, right, as you and Doc basically would have. But when you think about grandmother, right? Especially when we were growing up, because you had friends, you had things about grandmothers. And when you thought about grandmother, you thought about grandmother sort of signifies seniority in terms of age and experience and what have you. That's how you thought of grandmother. So you would believe that, for example, those little nursery rhyme and them when they say you have an old woman who lives in a shoe.
Is your grandmother talking about it?
Although they say it's a grandmother, she has so much children, but in your mind, you're thinking that it's kind of like a grandmother. Old woman who are living in shoes, someone as grandmother. Or old mother, how about?
Sorry, it did a cut that way.
The old mother, how about, and them. That name is old granny. You know, he had that so granny was always a kind of senior kind of person. That when you think about it. And you usually would hear, because my wife, she never grew much with mother and so on. She grew up with she grandmother. So I am always bombarded with stories of grandmother. And it's the same thing that Doc would have been saying. She would give all kind of story of she lineage. And you know, these old people are them in the past. Everybody, the idea and the concept of pumpkin vine family.
They know it. They have it, and they have it locked down tight.
Locked down is causing this and causing that, so everybody, and they'll give you the whole lineage from way back when, you know, and that in itself, you cannot really substitute for this kind of thing, because by you understood then the value and so on of family in those things, and that was really the glue that held the family and the family structure together. You hardly heard about grandfather, and so on. Grandfather be busy doing the thing, the bush, whatnot, but grandmother was the one who kept the kids close to her bosom, you know, and that is where the concept of grandmother, when you think about it, is somebody senior, somebody who brings comfort. You know, like a children, if something happened to you, when you go by grandmother, you get good.
You get right away.
Grandmother always know what to do. Yeah, grandmother.
They were the nurses. They were the nurses or the doctors in the home.
That's right.
Yeah.
Well, I was listening to the scores, and my mind was going so fast, because you know this whole thing about grandmother, you can actually put them into different blocks because they had such a significant role, and maybe we could start with the as a midwife, because there was a time when mothers need to go to hospital to have children, for example. It's the grandmother that would do what has to be done. And they knew what had to be done. They knew what to get. They knew how to get it. They just knew everything. Even when the child was born, for example, and I'm just kind of starting there because there is so much, I just start there and we move on. For example, when the child was born, there certain things they used to do. They would roll the child head, do whatever, all sorts of different things. And they had the reasons why all of these things had to be done. And they were right. They were right.
So Godfrey, pulling children nose and thing when children born. So that is to do something.
There's always a reason. So even though we don't know it, there was always usually.
No, but let me tell you. Let me tell you. You know about scores. Let me tell you. Hold on. For example, with the nose. You know, when children are born, the bones are still very soft. I mean, even the skull, it takes years before everything. And no, maybe they did not know it scientifically, but they knew there was something that had to be done to ensure completion. So they go hold the look nose and thing it so he go get straight and thing.
I think that was to straighten the nose.
Well, I feel so.
Used to say,
yeah.
Boy, Scholar really didn't have a grandmother.
But that's what I come and tell you now. That's why Scholar knows flat so because he never had a grandmother to straighten.
So what was true? That's what I was talking.
I don't know. I don't know. I like to straighten the
nose. Well, I guess he did not to straighten the nose is to make children see trouble.
No, I don't know. I really don't know this one.
No, but
like Guido Marcel and things that you explain that.
Let me tell you something. Because I know it for certain because of the, to help straighten the nose. Because even growing up, like you bathe and you go in the mirror, there are certain things that you continue doing, Because I used to always go in the mirror and you think and you keep, because that was sort of embedded in you. You're supposed to keep the thing, and straighten the nose and to keep it nice.
So what you want? Why want no straighten for?
Right, but that will make you pretty, you know that? When you know straight, you pretty. You understand? And your face long. So they would ting the head, straighten the nose, Sometimes they used to hold the child upside down and like to make the child flexible and to do all kind of things.
Yeah.
So they had their reasons. They knew. I mean, like I said, maybe the science and so that is involved now, where you have all kind of fancy name and all kind of thing. They probably didn't have that, but they knew.
But Godfrey, you mentioned something at the very beginning when you mentioned about the grandparents of before, and for some reason, grandparents before they look older than today's grandparents. I don't know if as I am getting close to there that I'm seeing them, the new grandparents now as younger. But as Carla mentioned earlier on, the grandparents before looked like they were just well seasoned old women, they have basically done their time, and we grew up that they kind of almost finished with life or they done with certain aspect of life. So that was one. So that first. The grandparents before also used to claim the children. So it's like they assume more right of the child or children than the immediate parent. Mm-hmm. That was the grandchildren of before. Scholar parents would if he would say to him. If he wanted to say discipline Philandine one way, watch boy, leave the boy alone. Those kind of things and them. So the grandparents before used to assume a level of authority over the children more than the parents. I mean, you have ways, I guess we come to that, I don't want to say everything, but they used to spoil children too. But in terms of the discipline, some of them used to help in the discipline. But in terms of the protection of that child, which they assumed to be theirs, they were very, very clear that they had more rights over the child than the immediate parents. And some grandparents used to actually manage the parent instead of doing that to the children.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. That I think you hit the nail on the head in some ways, but in some ways too, it's difficult to tell. Because when you think about it, people long ago, what we call long ago, used to make children very early.
People before time.
Yeah, before time. Before time, they used to make children very young, which would sort of be indicative of the fact that you had young grandmothers. But somehow you get the feeling that grandmothers now are much younger.
Yeah,
I less experienced. And as you said, I don't know if it's because because this is something, the bigger you are, is the less imposing and less senior people become. Mm-hmm. The smaller you are, is the bigger. And I think I gave this story already on this program of a time when my daughter was in one of them grade 1 or something, and she come and tell me a big boy. Chua, the big boy in grade 4, so myself thinking he's a big size of man, boy, I go thirsty for that big size of mister. What advantage me that? Well, I see the big boy. Hey, little boy. Huh?
He's a big boy.
He's in a higher grade. Yeah.
Was a big size of man, right? So, boy, when we were small, to make grandparents were big, old, senior people according to that, they finish with certain things already in life and those things. But maybe it was not. But
I don't think it was so. It's just in our eyes. We were just fooled. Yeah.
However, that sometimes too, based on your experience and the maturity that you show, you could look older and more senior. And that also is a fact. Because you always hear people always tell me, for example, when they see me, they always say, but you are like a man. But when you do on stage, you're a big man. Right? And I know it has happened before. I mean, when you look, for example, I see Shirley and Fraser Price in real life. Shirley and Fraser Price are little girl. And all of us say is a midget. But when she running, she don't look so smart. She looking big. She looking imposing. Alright? So by maturity and all things could make people look bigger and older than they are. And I would contend that by grandparents of the past, because they were steeped, really, they grew up with parents who sort of showed them the ropes and so on. So they understood the whole thing of parenthood and so on. Now you're having grandparents who never was even parents in the first place.
No, it's a fact. It's a fact. It's a fact.
So everybody's smart. But also there are some funny things that are happening. For example, and Godfrey, I guess you'll take a break just now. But and this is not with a grandparent, no, but it's a grandparent, but not a grandmother. Recently, I met a young man who I had not seen. I taught him in school. I had not seen him for a long time. And then I came out from the Ministry of Education and I see him sit down there. He said he come and look for school uniform assistance for his children. I say, you are children? He tell me, yeah, you have 6 children. I said, what? Well, where you got all that children? He said, what does you have grandchildren too?
Wow.
But I was thinking that he was lying, that was not true. And his man used to give some fast ones. So I wasn't taking him on. I said that's not true. And then lo and behold, funny enough, about 2 weeks later, he died.
Wow.
That was the same young man where they hit in his skull and the lawyer said the man's skull's up. And the same young man. 2 weeks later after I saw him, and lo and behold, the man have a grandchild in truth. And he's only 31.
What?
Yeah, 31. And he have a grandchild. I suspect that he have women who are 30 and 31 years. And they are grandchildren. And to me, according to them, before time, you kind of struggle to believe that just happened before time.
Yeah.
All right. So, guys, let's take the break and we're going to come back. So much we'll talk about. Stay with us, folks. We'll be back in a moment. Gittins Healthcare Pharmacies have catered for all the early shoppers. So, start your Christmas shopping now and avoid the rush. Visit Gittins Healthcare Pharmacies for your gift sets, toys for the children, hair care and body care products, along with your prescription and over-the-counter medication. Shop early and avoid the Christmas rush at Gittins Healthcare Pharmacies, Central Depot Street, Guab, the corner of Victoria and Jubilee Street, Grenville, and Wall Street, Grandans.
Hubbard's is once again innovating the way you shop with its new online store, providing 24-hour shopping convenience. You can shop now for appliances, hardware, houseware, building material, and more. Free delivery island-wide. Start shopping now at hubbardshardware.gd. Safe, convenient, reliable.
For over 80 years, we have been the trusted friend you relied on for comfort, support, and guidance. At Lacroix Brothers, we continue to provide the professional quality services you need when a loved one passes on. And now, for your convenience and added financial ease, we offer specially designed funeral packages for only $6,000 VAT inclusive. Special conditions apply. As you plan ahead, we have removed all enrollment fees for our burial society. Enter your loved one into eternal rest. Visit Lacroix Brothers Funeral Home for greater choices at the lowest possible prices. Select a package that brings added comfort to the entire family. Serving you from locations in St. George's, Grenville, and Carriacou. Telephone 440-2302 or visit www.lacroixbrothers.com. Lacroix Brothers Funeral Home, continuing a proud Grenadian tradition of excellence.
Raise it high up the ladder. Let we set it on fire. A little more calypso. Forget the funk and the disco.
Welcome back, everyone. We Culture. We're talking about our grandmothers, well, grandparents, but with emphasis on the grandmothers and the significant role they played in our upbringing. Let me just go to the Facebook page and take a couple comments from some of our friends there. So Ernesto is saying, please don't base tonight on Tivoli. Because when that two started, plus Dodo joining as well, Guav and St. Patrick's totally will be left out. All right, Ernesto, we wouldn't base it on Tivoli. He says the G woman may be still pulling up net for her jolly again. Let's scroll down. So Dodo is saying when children had maljo, they know to light their pipe and smoke the child. Grandmothers was all about natural medicine, aka herbalist. Dodo is saying the blue in the clot and pin on the child. Desolin says grandma used to be seen as matriarch of the traditional Grenadian family. Sharon is saying those who have their grandmothers around listen and ask questions. They are wise queens. Wish I asked more questions. Dodo says some of them used to spoil the grandchildren. Always run into grandma when you do something wrong. Cynthia says after they bathe, after they bath, and they would cream and stretch, cross arms and legs, and they would pull up the nose. Veronica said my grandfather always tell me to pull my nose to make it straight, my nose too flat. Dodo says I used to love to pick the gray hair while they give you all kinds of stories. Ernesto, grandma trying to break your nose bridge. When my daughter born, her nose was flat, but as she continued to grow, her nose took its shape. I was told on several occasions to squeeze the nose, but I didn't. Cynthia says grandparents nowadays are younger. Grandparents said they know their blood. Dodo Charles, Doc, remember the grandparents of today. The child gave birth earlier. Children are making children nowadays. Not many grandparents say they would have their grandchildren first. Dodo says, yes, that will happen when you have 17 or 18 years having babies. And right, so that's some of the comments on the Facebook page for now. Let me see if there are any comments on the WhatsApp platform. Right, so someone says your grandmother always have something for you to eat when you come home. Godfrey, take a laugh. How come you, Scholar, and Doc nose so flat? Hey, my nose ain't flat, but there's a nice street nose. A good looking fella. Scholar, nose that flat. So someone says, Godfrey, good night. I'm 61, and every now and then I still pull my nose. Scholar, and those things are big thing, you know? Those things are big thing. Right, let's see. Good evening. You guys started the program with a typical Grenadian mentality to mention something without giving details. Doc received an award. You never explained what it was, when, nor why it was issued. Come on, guys. Consider your audience who are not always able to tune into social media and getting information from your products once in a while. I'm in transit from Ukraine tonight and just tuning in for some local info. Well, caller, we said so. I did say that we didn't have all the details, but we do believe it had a cultural bearing because Doc is so culturally focused. So we did say that, but and it was last Friday. So our apologies if you missed it. I
also said that it was from the dance leader.
Yes,
an award that was presented to me for my working culture.
Yes. Well, we did say so. So before we go to the telephone, and I think it might be a good thing because the phone has been going, and I believe a lot of people want to chime in. But there was a point both Doc and Scholar made earlier about that senior role that the grandmothers took on, and I could call clearly that my grandmother used to always say to me, "I am your mother." Because if I didn't make you mother, you wouldn't have won. So that was teeny. So I mean, clearly, they took on that role, and I believe too, in many ways, because of that immense role they took on. I think that had a lot to do with how they were seen as well. Even rightly so, they were not that old.
But again, I think I'm going back to the same point I made the original point, that they exerted or felt that they had more authority even than your immediate parent.
Yeah.
Some of them, of course. So that is, I just wanted to say that. I would not go into detail, Godfrey, but I also believe that some of the callers, if you can, there are some grandparents that was extremely mischievous. So I would hope that some of the callers would be able to explain or say how their grandparents are mischievous. And next thing, in terms of discipline, I think that the discipline go both ways. And one of the words you can think about is what was the role with grandparents and it relates to food, because that was a big thing, and that has been a big thing. So I don't want to take all the thunder, so I want the callers to chime in and give their say as with grandparents and food, grandparents and discipline, grandparents and mischief.
Yes, indeed. So let's go to the telephone and see who is with us. We Culture, good evening.
Good night, sir.
Good evening, how are you doing?
That's not your business.
Okay, all right. I have no problem with that.
You have a problem now?
No, not at all.
Watch now. I disqualify all of you from this program.
Okay.
Why? You're all too young.
We're too young?
You have to be old like me and older than me to know about the real old people and the real grandmothers in those days. You understand?
Well, tell us, you're waiting.
Don't fool yourself. As we become more modern and more modern, we take offense against certain sexual offenses, But a lot of young girls used to make children, And that's why sometimes they're too young to look after their own children, and their mother looking after it for them, And in those days of the real grandmother tradition, poverty was the mark of the day. And the improvisation of these older parents towards their grandchildren was a stabilizing factor in keeping the family together. In other words, the mother and the father at certain times they don't have more right than the grandmother, And anything also right at home, they shall go into the grandmother, and the grandmother come and deal with the mother and father too, You understand? And Godfrey, in those days, poverty was the mark of the day, Nearly everybody was a shuttle house, what leaking, bed spread out during the day, get sun. Why? Pea, bug, characterize the lifestyle of the poor, And going to work early on the estate on morning, the cutlass, the cocoa knife, the fork, the this, the that, who go and pick up nutmeg, who go and pick cocoa, who go and sucker, who go in and plant bananas, who go and cut bananas on a Monday to bring the bouquet to ship overseas, and the crowds of people going to the various estates. In those days, the plantocracy ruled. But interestingly, some traditional behaviors of these grandparents, in those days, you didn't have plenty doctors, and if there is a doctor in a community, that's the key, Even the doctor himself wasn't so well informed, but he was seen as the Lord and God of medicine and the provider of health. But the grandparents also helped. However, I have one experience about 68 years ago, because 68 years, yes, because I was about 11 years. I had a little brother, just about 2 to 3 years. And one night, I lay down on the floor on a bag, and they call him Marvin, and he leaves the room on the floor, and he come and hugging me and crying. And I hug him off because a nice, good-looking little boy. He cries the whole night. I say, Mommy, Marvin really sick, Let's bring him at the doctor, Where she get a car. In those days, we had about 4 cars in the whole of Victoria, 4 cars. And she bring him by the doctor. But it was after 2 days he was sick. But before she brought him by the doctor, she get an old woman, a Macme, in the community to go and anoint Marvin. Oh God. Marvin bawling, me look about bawling, and you man anointing him down. Squeezing down his hand and his chest, his legs, this. I said, oh God, God want to kill me, brother. She killed me, brother, and shoot. The time I bring Marvin down to the hospital in a car, the doctor say, why all that lot of people to go anointing the little child? The child had a gastro. If the child had come in 2 days before, we'd have taken care. And at the first time I saw tears come out in the eyes of a doctor, he was so sorry for the little boy, and the boy died right in front of us. 2 nurses, 1 doctor, mommy, and me. I was 11 years. So a lot of people used to deal with some treatment. These people give them, sometimes they boil this and give them. Either you survive or you dead. So, Godfrey, it was the order of the day. And everybody, however, believes it's God that takes people. The time comes for you to death. And Godfrey, the infant mortality rate was high like hell. Nearly every day is a child being brought by a grave digger to the cemetery, a little box on the grave digger's shoulder. Children dying like hell. And even parents, when I say parents, not the fathers so much, but mothers, the mothers used to die a lot in childbirth, Godfrey, I think I still need too much thing tonight. I'll call you all back. Okay?
Okay, no problem. Thanks.
Right.
Thanks. Yeah. Skulls?
Hey. What you calling me for?
Add you to bed, boss. Add you to bed.
Yeah. And Mr. Man, I tell you on that area, I didn't know grandmother.
Well, I know, but
So I don't have no pens, I don't have nothing to add. And Doc, I think Doc, what was he treating Doc about?
Discipline, food, and
mischief.
And more than discipline and God and mischief.
Mischief, grandparents, some of them mischief.
When I say mischief in what way? Because I didn't get that.
You know, most time they would hide and do things for the children. The example, the main parent may not want your child to eat certain things. They want things. Secondly, things that the child shouldn't get. They would do that. And the grandparents used to send children to buy things in some place or to go and deliver things that they know they shouldn't be doing. So in terms of those kind of mischief, so there are some grandparents that actually do that. People are people, so you go have persons that are more aware of one thing than the other. So some of them must cantankerous.
But let me tell you, let me
hold on, because I don't go in this cantankerous stuff. Somebody go take you up on this cantankerous thing you're talking about it. But hold on. There are two things that I would like to do. The first one had to do with I want to go back to the nose pulling and so on. Don't really want to
let me take off my glasses to fix my nose.
Well, my God.
What nose to fix? Let me fix our nose.
But let me tell you, the nose pulling, that is a thing that comes from slavery. Right?
Yeah.
Slavery is ritual.
Yeah. That is the meaning.
Yes, slavery thing. Because we saw this straight nose, and usually our concept of beauty, and probably you might have to do a program on that, because culturally, the concept of beauty is totally warped.
It's warped.
So the concept of beauty back in those days, I remember that was long ago.
Still existing. The concept of beauty is still wrong. It's still, maybe not in that same form with the nose, because we don't do that anymore, but you have other manifestation.
No, it still exists. Because tell you something. And maybe it's not as prevalent now, but it still used to be real prevalent in the past. If you go in America, for example, or you go somewhere far, if you don't come back fair,
you ain't going nowhere.
Well, not just fair, If you don't come back fat,
you don't come back fair and fat.
You see trouble.
You come out and see.
You come out and see.
So it's the same thing with the nose. We set a pattern because of how white people feature, and that is who, in our concept, that is what define the concept of beauty. And so you have to pull the nose for nose to get straight and all this kind of thing. I happy me nose so they don't have no straight.
You better don't catch you cold.
Well, this kind of long nose kind of pinky thing.
But although the beauty was warped, some grandparents would come, they would hold that child. Oh gosh, you just hear the child pretty, watch his nose. Oh, he knows straight. So I mean,
But hold on, let me come in here. That one was a little confusing because, mind you, a nice child before was a nice fat chubby child with big face that they could kiss up and pinch up and pull on kind of thing too.
No, it's true. But the nose that are strong there.
Yes.
Nice. We're talking about nice. So you're nice. But remember, nice is not pretty, and pretty is two different things.
Yeah.
So you're nice. That is when you're fat and you're fair and whatnot, like nice. But then you have pretty.
He knows.
When you have some a long wolf nose.
And your face,
Your face long as Scotland. You're pretty. Right? So they're fighting to make you pretty. So that is the first thing. And secondly, I think one of them contributors, I think you read that somewhere, spoke about grandparents and the pipe. And back in those days, grandparents used to have pipe.
Pipe, they used to smoke.
A lot of them.
A lot of them used to have the pipe, right? And the funny thing is that, well, I don't know if they're making different thing now to smoke.
Still have pipe, but
them people used to smoke and they live in long, you know. Old age, but they're smoking, right? No, I mean, if you go and smoke pipe, people might cry you down and say, you don't think, and how can I help, man? Come in and talk, how can I help thing? You know, and so on. But grandparents, a lot of them in the past, they used to smoke the pipe and don't believe they used to drink the H too.
H, you say? A lot of H?
They used to drink the H.
Kala, how you looking at Godfrey? So you want to talk about the man, Uncle what?
You drink H? You mean my grandfather?
The grandfather?
Yeah. No, I tell you what, my grandfather never used to drink. My grandfather used to fix the steel in ribbon twine. He did not used to drink rum. My grandfather was a good little 70s man. He's strong, he was a blacksmith, but he used to drink. And it's that.
He didn't used to drink, he used to drink.
My grandfather used to drink. He used to drink.
So that we take a next call that we are here, or check the time.
Yeah, actually, I mean, there is so much to talk about the grandparents. There was something I was going to, what you all made reference to, that I was going to respond to. But let me go to the telephone and see who's with us. We Culture, good evening. Hello.
Hello, afternoon.
Yes, good evening, caller.
Yes, I want to make a little contribution.
Yes, true.
Well, what I will say is I grew up with my granny from 1 year old.
Mm-hmm.
And she was playing the part of mother, grandmother, and father. Because my father left for England early. Right, and well, she did me a lot of training and things. Trained me a lot of things. Even from the age of 5, we were not taught to use knife and fork. Then, well, like, I can remember, like, so many times we have a teeth that's shaking. You'll come with a piece of thread and pass it below the teeth and pull it. Put it like when you're doing a saw, you're pulling this side, putting that side, and take out the teeth. Right? And then, look, I could remember when her mother died, which is my great-grandmother, in the room. She slept with the dead on the bed, because in those days, you know, nothing like Lacroix coming for you right away. They coming for dead in the morning. So the dead had to stay in the house until in the morning. So she slept, she put her head down by her mother's foot, and her foot up by her mother's head, and spend the night there. But we as a little boy, we were just opening the door and afraid, because this is dead inside there. And you don't know what you think. Like in those days, you think like a death is an evil thing. You understand? So the people I never had a lot of thing. And another thing she used to do, like these older people, they were caring for their husband. It's like the husband will go, if it's in the garden or whatever, somewhere according to where he walking, they will cook the food and put it in a basket, and a little basket or something, and or a towel, and tie it, and they go and drop the food wherever they're walking or wherever the garden is. You know, they just do some nice things anyway. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Mm-hmm. Yes, indeed. That thought just came back to me as he mentioned the whole thing with food and going and drop. And I think there was a caller who mentioned about the plantocracy and so, and I could remember very well, Doc, my grandmother walking from Tivoli to go to Harman Estate to work every day.
Yeah.
And there was this thing that she did, because I would sleep with her most nights. So when she's going to work in the morning, she drops me off. Mom prepares me to go to school and everything. I come back from school and then I would be waiting. And she had a particular way she used to call me. So whenever she make that sound, I would be waiting. And I grab my cap and I gone next morning again. So they had that kind of thing, and they worked hard. You know, they worked hard, and I mean, I could recall not just Mike, but there were a number of them who would walk long distances, go and walk, come back.
And you might be surprised, Godfrey, that was almost commonplace, eh? Like that was accepted, it was normal. The long walk, the long hours of walking also. You know, you speak to people like Miss Helena,
yes,
and they will tell you how much basket of cocoa they had to jog, you know, under the early days of the estate, crossing river, you know, to bring to Belmont Estate when they was working in Belmont, from one end of Pointfield to the next estate, bringing the cocoa until at some time it was all plowed, and then they got donkeys to drop it in certain point. But I mean, people were walking long, hard hours and walking long distances, sometimes to go to work. And thinking about going back to grandparents, there was something that you know, actually my wife was sharing with me, that they at regular interval they had to visit other family members, but it was the insistence sometimes of grandparents that you go and visit cousin Sissy, cousin this, or uncle that, or grandpa that, who is living sometime in at 4-5 miles. So you have no transport, and then you have to walk that distance with your parents and grandparents to make sure that you maintain that family tie. So that was something again that they cherished. Now I don't know if our young, well, let us start with me. I don't know, my children don't know a lot of their cousins and stuff like that, you know. They don't know, because I have not done a good job in passing that on.
Right. So let's just take the final break and we'll come back and take some calls. Stay with us, folks. We'll be back with you in just a moment.
Kindly greasy pole, and without dance song, we may pole.
Whether you're shopping for hardware, building materials, and appliances, Hubbard's Building Supplies at Grand Anse is the place to shop. With improved facilities, increased parking, wider variety of products, and a trendy and spacious layout, catering for all your shopping needs. Why wait? Visit Hubbard's Building Supplies today. Now open Mondays to Fridays, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. and Saturdays, 8 a.m. to 1 p.m. Hubbard's. Quality service, affordable prices.
About the new Softweave bathroom tissue with total hygiene? As hygiene and safety have taken center stage, our bathroom tissue is now manufactured with 3 different technologies to offer the best protection for you and your family. UVC light technology for a safe and effective disinfection process, eliminating 99.9% of microorganisms. Also, production at high temperatures, killing all types of germs and bacteria. And it's pH controlled with delicate fibers to prevent irritation for even sensitive skin. Softweave Total Hygiene Bathroom Tissue. Available in supermarkets and shops island-wide. Visit Softweave Caribbean Facebook or Instagram pages for more information.
there was ever a time to keep and stay healthy, it's now. We at Hills and Valley are here to help you take deliberate steps to maintain your health. We stayed true to maintaining the most comprehensive rates while stocking the widest range of medicines and health devices, including personal protective equipment. There are so many benefits shopping with us. You get great savings through discounts for senior citizens and reward cards for loyal customers. Ask about owning yours today. Visit us at Halifax and Grenville Street, St. George, Jubilee Street opposite the Grenville Bus Terminal, and at Hillsborough, Carrico. Our wholesale distribution on Halifax Street also stocks the widest range of pharmaceuticals. We are with you on the hills and in the valleys. We are Hills and Valley Pharmacy.
Raise it high up the ladder. Let we set it on fire. A little more calypso. Forget the funk and the disco. A little more limbo. A little more
Welcome back, everyone. Welcome back. We Culture. We're talking about the grandparents and the role they played in our upbringing. I think Reece has joined us. Reece, are you in already? She had some issues connecting, but I think I saw her joining us. So anytime now she should be popping up on the screen. Yes, indeed. So let me just take a couple little comments here on the WhatsApp platform. Someone says, right, do you know grandparents used to do DNA tests before time? When a man had an outside child, he had to present it to the grandmother for inspection to determine if the child was part of them. Yes. That's definitely so.
Yeah.
Grandparents knew, what was what?
The eyes, that's how it was. The nose, the mouth.
Yeah,
that's how it was.
Yeah, yes, definitely. Yes. Someone says, Godfrey, I used to go and pay society with Mama on Sundays for years, and up to now, we never know where the money went. Where the money goes in society. Society, money go in society. Right. Evening. Grandparents were DNA tests. You couldn't bring a wrong child for them, or if fathers didn't claim them, they will claim by watching the child's feet, the toes. They were poor, but life was exciting. When you go visit, if you were living abroad, you were treated like a god. They take you to all the neighbors and the neighborhood, and the treatment were better than those living here. No one can touch you. They always had more to give. Well, that's to give the visitors. Someone says, grandmothers rocked little ones to sleep with a song. Parents tell them, go to bed. So you know what, the grandparents gonna make you sleep, but your mother go send you in your bed. All right, so that's on the WhatsApp platform. So let's welcome Reece. Reece, good night and welcome. You're muted.
She muted. She
looks up. Where are they? We still ain't hearing you.
We still can't hear you.
No, we ain't hearing you, man. What
we still cannot hear you.
Alright, she having some issues. Let's just take a couple. Let's see what we have on the WhatsApp platform. Doc, you hearing me, right? You guys hearing me?
You.
Right.
Yeah, I'm hearing.
So let's just take a couple here. Right. Cynthia says, parents now tell you the things they got punished for. Grandparents let the grands get away with it.
Yeah.
Ali Pascal says, grandmothers of the past used to like to feed grandchildren and say, eat. When you're sick, you can't eat. Anna says, they used to give you licks in hand. They're going to beat you for something you did wrong and beat you for something you'll do wrong later on. You're telling me about grandparents? Dola says, if you don't come back, talking in style. And that was in reference to what Scholar was talking about. Like if you go away and you come back and you're in fear and you're in fat and all this kind of thing, and you have to be, you have to have a twang. You must have a little, definitely, yeah. And Cynthia added with dimples. So them children, they have to be fat and all kind of thing. Must have dimples on the side of the face. Doc, you know that dimple?
Well, no wonder why I got so much love from all the old women, from a lot of the old women in yeah.
The dimple?
A dimple?
The dimple. Right. Donna says, grandparents used to know everything about dreams. Anytime I dream, I used to ask Granny, and bet your bottom dollar she will interpret that dream. I remember I had a dream about police. While telling her about the dream, the gentleman in the community, every Monday morning, he in the police station about they cut his kid. Before I could finish telling her, she said, that's the dream way? You think Granny was easy? I wonder who is the person in the community with the kid now? Doc, I feel you know it.
I don't know that one.
In the community with kid, who had kid in poetry?
Who I do I say that?
Yes. So you know who had kid in poetry. All right. Now there was another thing about the grandparents that I wanted to throw in here, guys. Doc, did we exhaust the discipline and what was the other part?
No, we didn't actually say much. We didn't get much response to that.
Because you see, I don't want to jump all over the place because there is so much that I want us to be able to.
I see.
We see the girlfriend grandmother.
Is it that no brought up to you?
She got big grandmother.
No. So Godfrey, somebody mentioned about food. That was one of those areas I mentioned. And one of the things with grandparents, they want to me, a demonstration of love for you was to make you eat.
Yeah, you had to you had to get fat.
Yeah, eat. Like you don't, as the person meant to put it in real perspective, you don't know when you're gonna get sick, so it's like you can store the food, so eat. So anytime they particularly if they really like a child or love a child, they would ensure that they give the child all kind of thing, whatsoever the child wants in terms of eat more, you don't want more, etc. So I think not just the grandparents, but this love is passed on a lot through food or demonstration of food. So that was one of the things I wanted to mention in terms of the relationship with grandparents and the children. And then I mentioned discipline, but discipline goes both ways. So there are a few grandparents that they used to be the ones who help discipline the children. I mean, they had the experience already, and so they had better ways of helping to discipline the children. Sometimes they use the belt, but a lot of times they are able to get children to do things or to, that the parents found it difficult to do. So the grandparents had that. And again, the reverse also take place. Some grandparents just leave the child, and they discipline out of the window. So I think it cut on both ways.
All right. Doc, earlier you mentioned something about negative influence, and I want to submit here that that negative influence, and if I can put it that way, in some ways was a positive negative influence, meaning that I think grandparents somewhere along the line think that they have a responsibility, and as we would put it, to spoil the child, and then the parents are supposed to fix that.
But I think part of it, and that is the truth. Part of it has to do with what I think therefore one of the contributors would have said. Grandparents somehow have a notion that a grandparent is supposed to protect that child. Protect that child from the mother, protect that child from
everything. Yeah.
Everything. And so it's because of that protective kind of mindset that they have. That's why you see we say they're spoiling children. Because before the mother go to correct, and that is the same thing. They used to correct the mother for it.
Yeah, exactly.
Then they were mothers, and they did not see their role so much as protective, but now as disciplining. Disciplining was more important than protection when you're a mother. But when you become a grandmother, then protection is the main thing. You have to protect your grand. Right? And so whether you're protecting your grand from the same mother and is spoiling the child.
Yes.
But protecting the child. You see? And so grandmothers become the same way that kind of our society has become now so Americanized that we grow up, children have to be soft and protective.
Yeah.
And that's where all this bullying and all this kind of thing comes from. And right now you have people's children and so on. Because in the same little nursery rhyme, whoever the old woman what had the children and she did them some little thing and she caught the skin. Then you whip them out something and send them to bed. I doubt that children could say this thing now.
Look at Miss Muffet.
Children can be said no because that is
no, they don't Miss Muffet.
That Miss Muffet.
Yeah.
That who?
There was an old woman who lived in his shoes.
But that was Miss Muffet.
She didn't know what to do.
Well, that was Miss Muffet.
Miss Muffet, man.
Little Miss Muffet sat on her tuffet eating her cousin way.
Yeah, little Miss Muffet was a waste of time.
That spider.
Yeah, but the old our grandmother, who a whole thing, and she, them children maybe don't have nothing to eat. She give them a little something.
But let me ask, so that
and she cut their skin.
She from Guav?
Hey.
Well, I just want to know. I find that something. I find that something I go and grandmother go do. What do you mean?
No, we know how to go by the bay and get her to grade jacks and go by the land and get her to grade fig. We know how to do some coconut horse, like a milk, whatever. And we know about the pigs, nut and snow ice, remember? So no, we would not have whipped our children and send them to bed.
I ain't sure about that, though.
Without any food.
I ain't sure about that, though.
Go visit one place you're sure you're getting something to eat.
Welcome, Reece.
Right? Just come and stay. Ask Honesto.
But the truth is that there's children and them. And even, I don't know if old Mother Hubbard, you have Mother Hubbard and mommy used to beat children too, but
yes.
But they go out, they come out, don't tell it all you know, that's not that.
Mother Hubbard come out in Guam.
When she come out?
Mother Hubbard children come out good, you know.
No. Scholar, no. For a while there, I thought you were actually working with me here. Just so?
But how you believe I know more about children come out good?
No, I don't think Scholar get it now. What you said is the children come out in Guam because the children come out good.
They come out good?
In a nutshell, you say that if you get from Guam, you don't come out good.
No, Papa. No. I take that back. Otherwise, let me tell you something. Pass the eastern side every day as well. Don't come down the west.
No. Reece, walk with me. Walk with me.
Wait, I give you a chance. Let me hear.
And you talking two different things. I baking bread and you don't bake it at all. You don't eat nothing.
I'm willing to hear you though. Let me hear.
So I am speaking about the fact that the old people and them, the old granny and them, they used to what we call protect the children and spoil and earlier on I gave the notion that when you think about old Mother Hubbard and the old lady in the shoe, you think of them because of seniority as though they were grandmother. But now in thinking about it, they could not have been grandmothers because they also beat children and send them to bed. Alright? So this is what I'm saying, that you and Godfrey having your own conversation, I'm speaking my own thing. So all about might have also beat children, right? But the children came out good. Because
let me tell you something, all the rigmarole you just do, they only go back and forth, whatever. You come last with that, because what you specifically said is that all Mother Hubbard could not have come from Guelph. Those children come out good. I hear you. I hear you. I hear you. That's
Godfrey.
Horseman, that's not what he said. That's not what he said. Horseman, that's not what he said.
Scala. Just play a politician now, say
that's
he
what
was
he said.
Misconstrued.
Yeah. No. He tongue tired.
I tell him, Scala.
The man.
Godfrey
take a call. Godfrey take a call.
Let me say this. Godfrey and me is two different people. Let me say this now.
Godfrey.
Hold on. No, this is the first time for tonight I'm saying the word go. Go back up.
You said Mother Hubbard could not have come from Guelph. And your next statement was, those children come out good. So basically you're saying...
All right, okay. Let me, hold on.
Leader free hold him.
Hold on. Let me come to my partner defense here. That's not what he meant. Actually, let me tell you. No, hold on. I think it came in so quickly when I made reference to Mother Hubbard come out in Guelph. So he answered that by saying no. She could not come from. Right, but that was aside from the earlier statement. So then he said no, she couldn't come from Guelph, and then continued. So he go back now and continued from where we left off.
He couldn't have paid you as much as $100 for what you just do. The penny you get, pennies you get for what you just do.
I think that's not what he meant, but that is what he said. Anyway, let us move on. That's not what he meant. Obviously, from his defense.
And he like to hold people by the word, so I don't let him go tonight.
From his defense, that is not what he meant.
You know why I know that? Because this day, I never hear nobody make a point that old Mother Hubbard come from Godfrey. So I know it's what I say.
Leader Free kept saying that she called from Guam.
Yeah, no. Listen, that is the point I'm making. Yes. I said Mother Hubbard came from Guam. Now remember, my boy was talking about Mother Hubbard before. All right, when he made a reference to Mother Hubbard, remember I butted in and said she came from Guam. And then what he actually did was debunk me right away and say no.
He said no, she could not come from Guam.
Right, and then that was independent of the next statement. So
we have to change that, Scala. We have to change that. We have to move on, guys.
Anyway.
So we will clear that after.
No.
There is a truth now.
No. That is something else old Mother Hubbard.
Here's my truth. I believe that he probably was in talking and he didn't hear what Godfrey said. So when he answered, it just followed. But I implore that he go back and look at the video after so he go see how bad the thing sound.
No. Well, I tell you, we playing over the transcript. And one of the things, you see that you don't realize, one of the things, whenever we're speaking, I don't know if it happens with audio, and Godfrey butts in, you don't hear nothing else but Godfrey.
Godfrey, of course.
So you know, as I come in Guam,
it models, but let's go. So, as usual, but that's good for you because you come late. So you don't know what's going on because you come late again. And then you
let me tell you about the experience I had with that grandmother.
Yeah.
We both have a grandmother there. She hypocrite bad.
What? So
no, seriously. Her grandchildren could do no wrong. Right, all the rules and regulations she grew me up with. everything break for them. Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
But when you hear, she fine, that something is wrong, she alone could talk. Even if it was something that you were complaining about and you're looking for support from her, you're not getting it. It's only when she see it wrong, it's wrong. Yeah? And let me tell you, I hear all the talking about, the grandchildren, whatever. When you hear she going up, Nala going up by her, I just take a picture of Nala sideways and frontways. Nala belly, normal. And I just send it to her. Say, listen, send it back how you get it. Every time it come back, clothes can't fit. And you have a hand that sit on the side of her. You doesn't feed the child. When she come over here, she does hungry and she does want that. Are we giving her this? Are we giving her that? I don't know what make them feel that fattening those children and them is healthy. Right now, I concerned about the weight that Reverse have, because Reverse weighing pounds that I wasn't weighing when I got pregnant with her sister, you know.
Yeah.
And she's 12. Right? And another thing how I prove that she's hypocrite from since long.
The child is a growing child. The child is a growing child.
Remember,
the child is a growing child.
Yeah. Reece sheep and them was she pet you.
Let me tell you what I'm saying, hypocrisy experience. So when I bring Reverse home, sister, mother come down, you know, all of them they excited. Every time I day in the room with Reverse, you only hearing pinks. Pinks cuter. Pinks. Everything is pinks. You don't only know I find out that every time I go to use the bathroom, when women have children, they have to use the bathroom often. Every time I go in the bathroom, I go in the bathroom, they sit down there and they balling, what Reece bring home there? What Reece bring home there? Because because I walked through all the time, and I was driving myself. Barely knows that I'm driving myself. So the child come out looking like a Buddha doll. All you know those Buddha doll and them, they just rotate so. Like they do a leg. She come out looking so like a Buddha doll. So every time I go in the bathroom, they balling, why is he bring home there? But kill them dead. Every time I they around, Pinks, she's so cute. She cute. Grandparents, grandmother. Hypocrite.
I know.
Let's go to the telephone. Let's go to the telephone. Let's take a call.
Take a call.
We culture. Good evening. Hello. Hello.
Good night. Good night, everybody.
How do you do?
I see me girl looking sparkling white, and so she standing up for she right. Stand up and fight back. You have nothing to lose.
So you don't see Livingston looking sparkling too?
And congratulations to you, Mr. Nelson. Congrats. Big up, Mr. Nelson. And we culture man, drum man, Tivoli man. Big them up. Mr. Godfrey, what you have to say?
Well, we there?
And anyway, I Asham too, and before I forget, I have Asham. Reece, I don't know how did I get you, but I have Asham. And
don't worry, we'll pass up. A long time I didn't see you, so we will pass.
All right, make sure you pass.
Yes.
Are you talking about grandmother young now, and grandmother child making child? Let me tell you something. My mother made she first child when she was 13 years, and she made 15 children. 13 years. And she had to sleep below the house. And when they like, she had to get up and do she work. She get a lot of punishment for making she child 13 years. So long time grandparents was good and it was bad. And it was real child abuse then. You had a lot of child abuse long time, you know. You only come to light now. And I'm proud to say I'm a grandmother of 15 children. My first grandchild is 21 years. And the last one is 3 years. And like she's 31 years, the last one.
Don't forget Nala made the 16th one, eh?
Yes. And I have a lot outside there still to come. You understand? So it's only those girls that make her. Them boys don't have. So I don't know when they go bring. So I'm proud of me stick me and 15 grandchildren. And a grandchild make me run around the Catholic church in Grenville. That is why I start bringing grandchildren behind me. I run around the church and that man big and fat. When I done a tell a lady say, you are right with me? I don't think about them at all. So they want tell me, I say, behave yourself, I go beat you, you get into my trouble. She tell me, all I can run. You can run, Susan, you can run, you can hold me.
Like Susan can hear me, boy.
I don't hear you.
Susan, you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you now.
So let me ask you, who you giving more love now? The children or the grandchildren?
But to tell you the honest truth, I love my grandchildren more than my children, you know. To tell you the honest truth, watch. I don't tell my children that every day.
That is the story.
Watch. I see about the Polish children sometimes when you hear they come out to school, eh? Oh God, like they said, you're in crazy house. This is me not say, well, you get paid by well to Arizona, Susan. She still got money, you know. And I'm mostly about it because
not continue talking about it.
I have some children there, boy. What? Caleb and Kylie? Yeah, when they call Kylie, she's a songster, she does sing Dirty Man, you dirty man, leave the people children alone. Kylie, you make me talk too much, eh?
You hear the change, she switched from her children, that is she grand she's talking about?
Yeah, let me grand, but me, I cook for my grandchildren every day. Every living day that my children. Yeah, I have a grandson I'll take my grandson, my first grandson, to go in hurricane shelter in Ivan. When he was 10 months, I take him to go in hurricane shelter. I know he's in hurricane shelter still, you know. And then I take his brother when his brother was 5 years old. You know what he asked me one day? He asked me, who is Ronaldo mother? I say, you and Ronaldo is same mother? Me and Ronaldo not same mother, not because I say you since I was a baby. I say, me not your mother. I say, you and Ronaldo is same mother. And it's still when he reached like 15 years going there, he really understand he and the boy same mother, you know.
Wow.
So I take him since he was a baby. You understand? And children don't have to mind. All they want is clean clothes and piece of food. And that is it. Yeah. And never no problem with children to say rush them in doctor. You have to run in doctor with that. You have to go with this one sick with the heart, that one sick with the thing. Because I give them real food, eh? And they have to eat. If you want to drink medicine again, the parents can make them drink medicine. I tell the little one today, come and drink the medicine because he's coughing so much. I don't want, mommy give me already. I say, well, anyway, I'm going in Grenville. But you see him open him out because you feel I'm going in Grenville and you want to go in Grenville. You open him out and you have to sweeten the children. You have to tell them nice things. You understand? Don't tell them, come and drink the medicine, come. I'm coughing you down, you know. Come on, open him out. You can't do them that. Come, Lebby, come and drink the medicine. Susan going in Grenville. You want Susan going in Grenville? No.
Them.
Yeah, and you see him open him out and drink down the little medicine. No, he stop cough. Yeah. So I love my grandchildren, and I'm proud of me 15 grandchildren. What one more? Just said
yes, come around to claim still.
Anyway, make sure you pass your thing, madam.
Yes.
All right, and everybody have a good night.
All
my grandchildren have. How my grandchildren call out?
Who's that, me?
Yeah.
Zoot.
I know no grandchildren.
He's not a grandfather.
I have a long way to go. Anyway, I'm 60 and I have 15. A good day, good night. Bye. Everybody.
All the best. Yes.
Godfrey, you know, as Susan said that, you know, there's incidents these days, and you find it in a lot of families, you know, where you have grandmother or grandfather and their grandchildren. Yeah? Their grandchildren older than their children.
Yeah.
There's incidents of that.
Yep.
So grandfather, but mostly sometimes grandfather, and grandfather still making children. So you have
oh God! You just sit there, you're making me laugh.
Yeah. You have a niece and your niece young than you.
Yes, of course. Let's get back to the telephone.
Yes, all right.
We culture. Good evening.
Hello. Good night.
Yes, good evening, caller.
Good evening. Well, I'm listening to your program, and it sounds very interesting, very jokey. Good evening.
Yes, go ahead. Yeah, we listen.
All right. I just want to add to with all that you all have been saying, because it's a true thing about grandparents, especially grandmother. I know that when you go by your grandmother, the first thing she will offer you to come back home with is a fowl. She's saying, take care of that fowl, boy, and make sure that you have it go so you could have a lot more, especially freezer fowl. I don't know if you remember that, Godfrey.
Yes, yeah, I know about freezer fowl.
And the other thing is that when the children sick, the grandparents have a way in getting them well by passing them over the smoke, holding them upside down, and holding them and shaking them and rubbing them down with some particular oil or some bush, and so on, or bathing them with some bush. Doc, you know that part of it?
Yes.
All
yes,
right.
I know that.
I hear Reece was saying some things there, and it sounds true. But grandparents has a way in loving grandchildren. But on the other hand, it's true, they really spoil them. But if you want to start life, you have to be close to your grandmother. I remember my grandmother would teach me to wash, to cook, to be in the kitchen, and do everything possible. And you know the reason why she is doing that, or the password she used to say? Why, when you marry
no man would take advantage
on you.
What style?
So that was a good thing. And today I can tell you, I could do anything in the home. It's not that the wife will take bad thing about you, but that you could help and do much more to develop your home. So, Scholar, you have to do a lot more than just singing.
What the caller just said there about grandparents saying to boys, learn to do this so that women don't cut style on you. Mm-hmm. Parents, the grandparents say that what the parents they'll say, I'm gonna help the woman put you out. Play it all to learn thing. Play it all to do thing. I help you put you out.
All right, let's go back. Let's go back to the telephone. We culture. Good evening.
Good afternoon.
Good evening.
Godfrey?
Yes.
How are you?
I'm doing good, and you?
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And scholars and your guests. I love the song you sang. We're talking about grandparents. I remember when I used to, my grandmother was from Hermitage, St. John, St. Andrews.
Mm-hmm.
And when I go up to spend weekend with her, I had to cook, make rice and peas. And when I do it the first weekend, it come out good. Rachel, you have to do it you have to get it better. So I get my beating, and the next weekend, I try again until I make it perfect.
Okay. Wonderful.
And that's what grandparents was always about, always teaching the young ones. Even your mom, we come from, and grandparents always stand up, always. You have to do things how it's supposed to be. Thank you.
Thank you, caller. Thank you very much indeed. Thanks a lot. 435-2041, that's the number you can call, and you can get to share your little experiences with us regarding the grandparents. Now, guys, there's something else, and it has to do with the children growing up. But let's just take this call before we go to that. We culture, good evening.
Good evening, we culture.
Good evening.
The passing over the fire when the child gets sick, they used to refer to that as, they say the child had maljo. Mm-hmm. And the people having the children late, you would hear the parents would say, well, I make my own grandchildren. And there are times when you find, let's say, a nephew is older than that of a son. I remember being in company of some kids one time, and the son said to, when he realized that his nephew was a few months older than him, he said, Dad, you You and your son almost meet up in maternity together. Have a good day.
Thank you, caller. Thank you.
Wow.
All right. So Honesta is saying, as a grandparent, now I get to understand that. Get to understand the love my grands have for me, because my grandson is 1 year, 4 months, and can't go to the store without picking up something for him. Everything will look good on him. I will say just for me to, I will say just for me to buy. Good night, Susan. I want my asham too. So Susan, honestly say you want the asham as well. Cynthia says my godmother always gave me a chicken. And Sonia says absolutely true, caller. All right, let's go back to the telephone. OUI Culture, good evening.
Good evening. How is you?
Good.
Right. I remember Godfrey. Like when you did something wrong, okay, like when you even like let's say go somewhere or somewhere, and you pass an elder person and you don't tell them good morning, right? Listen, whether you are right or wrong or wrong or right, and your mother know that, was just no way you could get away from that, Well, not only that, anytime an elderly person go and make a complaint about you, they are right? And you had to go and beg pardon in front of that person, right? And give them satisfaction, these things was so fundamental, right? So whether you was wrong or right, or right or wrong, long as an elder person make a complaint about you, you have to beg them pardon. Yeah, thanks.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much indeed. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Is it a larger complaint?
The larger complaint. The larger complaint. Mm-hmm. Definitely so.
It's different now.
You know, guys. And Doc had mentioned about food earlier. And we kind of spoke about actually the feeding, but our grandmothers had a very unique way of cooking, and grandmother food don't taste the same like your mother own.
No, it's true. But not only that,
long stoops.
Not only that, but it's true. You put long stoops if you want, but you see, your mother could cook better than you.
What's the spread with the stoopy talk at them?
Your mother is a buy a lot of food. Don't be stupid. No, listen. Not only that, God, as children, and though I grew up with grandmother and so on, but as I tell you, I had friends and so on with grandmother and so on. And as children, not just the food your grandmother cooking at sweet, but the food your grandmother eating, the same food.
Yeah.
You eating that food, your grandmother eating the same food, but how sweeter than what you eating there.
You getting peace.
Because she feeding you.
Yeah, when you get peace from your grandmother, and that's what you want to. You live in yours,
you live in yours. Yes.
You live in yours, to eat your grandmother same food, because
it's not just the same food. They usually give the choice meat or something that.
But a lot of times they used to feed you with a hand. Sometimes even if it's rice, the thing, and then they put it in your mouth, and there was a lot, and I guess it's all the love and so involved that made all the difference.
Yeah.
So these things were very, 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 very significant. Now I wanted us to get into a different aspect, which I think, but we almost close to wrap up, but it has to do with the names that they call us as children. And maybe we shouldn't start that, because I think that we can probably leave that for next week.
We could leave that for next time. Godfrey, what I think is to make the comparison, because we say it in passing. Are the grandparents of yesterday different from the grandparents of today? What really make the difference? I mean, maybe we could explore that as we come to the wire.
Well, I think you're right with that, because even what I just raised there would fit in nicely, because what I'm referring to, I don't know if grandparents nowadays know anything about that.
You mean they don't call you Dudu?
No, the Dudu, Chunkan,
Punka,
all this kind of thing.
Puna, and Punka, and Dodo.
So what you're saying in a nutshell are the grandparents of today usually don't show that kind of, don't give you the love name, they'll just, best to you with all the love they can. They don't do that. You say they don't do that.
Well, I mean, it probably goes deeper than that. I wouldn't say it that way. I would probably ask the question whether or not they understand how to do it.
I've been thinking about that even before I came on the program, and I think it had to do with time. Before the grandparents, they were home, as I said, the stabilizing force, blah, 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 they would be around. If some of them still walk, they would walk, but when they come, they're always almost there. But I think the grandparents of today, they are engaged. There are other activities that get them engaged. And a lot of them still like Facebook. They like the phone, etc. So the time that they have, the parents today have in terms of bestowing that love and that attention, the parents of today, the grandparents of today, don't have the same time that our grandparents had in
Livingston. I think education has something to do with that too. There's a Calypsonian. Where is he from? Is it Trinidad? Scholar should be able to tell us about that. That's like a whole calypso about how yesterday's parents used to talk to their children compared to how Englishmen talk to their children. Who's that artist, Scholar?
That's Godfrey.
Listen, it's a humorous calypso. I listen to it all the time, but I don't remember who sang it.
Actually, I played it just before the program started. Composer.
Composer.
Yeah.
Right. So we were educated into thinking that when we speak in that kind of baby language and we call the children those kind of names or whatever, we are not doing the children well. They go to school, they call James John, and the child don't know who is James John because James John know himself as Duru Darling or something like that, right? So
but
education we have this thing that to speak properly, to call people in Christian names, to do everything in a very official way is the way. So it has eroded over time.
Yeah, but Godfrey tell I don't go there. But I don't still
I think what we've been doing still is make the comparison between the modern and
but let me say this to you. Mr. Livingston. I'm giving you your full accolade. Mr. Livingston.
What is his name? Alexander? What is his name? Alexander?
Sylvester.
What is cultural?
Scala, just make a point.
Sylvester.
I'm going to give you a full accolade. Mr. Livingston, cultural, whatever.
Extraordinaire.
Cultural extraordinaire. What get you big award for dancing up in wheelies and Let me say this to you, because I don't agree with you at all that the grandparents of long ago had more time. Let me tell you something. 3/4 of the old grandparents, and that is something about women, that and I agree to Reece on that one, and I dare to Reece in the feminine kind of movement. Women have not gotten the credit, especially these old women, that they deserve, because a lot of these old women, they work manfully, side by side with the men, in field and going all about and doing things.
On the estate, yeah.
Back, while the man stretch out, they are cooking.
Yeah.
And I do everything. And take care of the children and do things. So men subscribe to this thing that they had more time on the hand so they could do things. It was just that they used the time well. Women also have more time than men. They have more time than men.
I accept that explanation. No quarry.
And I would add on the issue of time, Doc, to agree with Scholar. The birth of the daycare centers took the children away from the grandparents.
Well, that too, but I also believe that the television and the phone was also an added distraction. So when I was saying they had more time, I agree with Scholar that there is a shift. It was where the priority was placed. So the priority was placed before, in that the parents, when they came home, there was not that distraction. The new grandparents now has adopted or have accepted other challenges, other distraction that prevent them from giving the children full attention. So I accept the correction.
Right. Well,
it'd be nice one day for you to say something like that, eh?
I don't say that.
So we go live it here. We're gonna live it here, and we could continue next week, because I really want us to explore some of these names and all of these things. I find it very, very interesting, and of course there is so much more. So Reece, since you come last, you'll go first.
Okay. Well, what we can also talk about next week is about let's have a positive spin too about all these grandparents who are actually mothering children today because of absent mothers, whether they died or they traveled or or they just are better able to give the children a better life. So we can also talk about that. Grandparents for me is a necessity. I believe in the extended family. I grew up with not an extended family within the house, really. I mean, there were intervals of that, but I know about every summertime going up to Mount St. Ovens, Ladig to spend my carnival vacation. And yes, I was spoiled. I mean, I grew up not being able to consume things like soft drinks and stuff and play carnival. But when my grandmother land, grandparents hosh. And we get a soft drink and we get to play with mass. And we get to wear clothes that we weren't allowed to wear when we were around our parents. So grandparents allowed me to be able to have certain experiences that, in a controlled setting, of course, that if wasn't for them, I would not have had it. I learned to make a green salad, and I'm talking everything green, from my grandmother and from being up there. We learned to cook. We were allowed to cook. We were allowed to play. Some of the nostalgic memories that I have of community life, rural life, and all of that has to do with those times that I spent with my grandmother. And there's a lot of fond memories of how it is that when your parents couldn't provide, she provided. Mm-hmm. And you wonder how they did it, but they did it. It was that shoulder that you could have leaned on. Even when there were relationship issues among the parents and everything, the grandmother stepped in. Not on all sides, but there's always the humble, level-headed side that would step in and to make things better. So grandmothers in particular, and the last point that Scholar made about the roles that they played and how they played it, and still be able to put children to bed and get some rest and get up and start the day very early again, doing the same things over and over, the multitasking. I really don't know how they dealt with that and how they did it. But what I do know is that as parents, we have the same roles to do. We have the same things to do. We probably have less children to do it with, but the challenges that we have as parents, the influences, all the distractions and everything that we have to compete with in growing our children, to me, it is tougher now than it was for them. And that's my contribution. We'll leave that there until next week.
Right. Doc?
I would make it really short. The role of grandparents is really a stabilizing force. As I said, they are the carriers of the culture. They are the ones that usually are expected to pass on our value system, our morals. And they are the first school in terms of educating us. We told a lot of them playing that positive role, society was going to be worse off. So the role that grandparents have played in our life has basically not been fully recognized for the stabilizing effect. So as grandparents, particularly those in the past, I salute you and the hard work. And for me, I had several grandparents. Some of them was biological, and some of them, like Miss Chemi and them, or other people that were just there. And for matter of fact, in the village of Tivoli, because we are rural, we had a lot of other persons to lean on anytime we needed somebody. They were always there looking out for us. So I salute all those grandparents that were my grandparents and were my parents to help me to be that kind of, I would say, level-headed person that I am today. Thank you so much for what you have done for me in particular.
Skulls.
Level-headed in terms of your truth.
Look at the big award in Willis.
I think big award, but right now, anyway, let me. I'll be very short because you say we want to continue. We'll continue. But one thing I am very concerned that is concerned about the grandmother and grandparents culture, because I think that very slowly it is being eroded. And we're seeing the American culture is taking hold in Grenada. Because remember, in American culture, you don't have all this kind of thing. This thing is almost non-existent. I mean, it's existent to a degree, but because by the time children reach a little age, they are going to find their own and putting them out and all of these things. So I am kind of scared for the grandparent culture and the whole extended family thing, because the extended family thing is quickly going out. I mean, the community was the biggest extension of the family, and I have that right now. And slowly, the whole grandmother culture is dying. So that's what actually are seen.
Right.
So I'm kind of concerned about that, but I guess we can discuss more of that next week, please.
Definitely so. I agree. I mean, there is so much more to talk about, and I do agree, and the concern is there about that erosion, because a lot of foundation things, that is needed. If we lose that aspect, as Doc said, we could be in some problems. So, folks, next week we definitely will continue. I want to talk about some of them nice names and them that they used to call the children, the Chunkulungs and the Punkans and the Pupurush and all them things and them. So, I want to talk about that.
Talk about that one.
And let me tell you, if all they behave nice, I go sing the whole Kaiser of all.
Which one?
Child training, composer. The way how you train your children.
Yes,
right.
That's it.
So good. So if all they behave nice, I go do a thing. That might be my when my partner say.
Well, you want to be the first person singing for us on that too.
Well, my partner say.
We have to beg you.
My partner say you don't go.
We have to beg you.
Listen, my partner say you don't going back next year, so I figure. Well, Philandy ain't ready yet, so I got to kind of chip in maybe for a year or so to
Godfrey, when you make the first statement, you have to start with creek crack. The bad, that's a year going back. Say creek crack.
Bad say that. The bad make bigger dogs, man. Don't try that. The bad make bigger dogs, man.
Something that does happen around May, June, July, they don't get bit by a bug.
Who they talking about it?
I don't even know.
That food is not about what?
I don't have a clue. The guy that want to resign to hang up the boats, and I tell Godfrey say creek crack.
You should tell the person who say that say creek crack before they say it.
So you have a man that say that?
Well, yeah.
And when they decide to hang up boots is when they starting to look like those real artists now. That's how the artists look,
Anyway, guys, thanks to all our Facebook friends, Ernesto and Cynthia and Dodo and and all the others. We thank you guys so much on the WhatsApp platform, our listeners on K105 and also viewers on TV. We thank you very much. So next week, gather all your thoughts, your memories, and we are going to continue, on the grandmother culture. So until next week, have a good night. Enjoy the rest of the weekend. I'm going to leave you with a little bit from the man himself, composer.
Nice.